Hello, boys and girls. Welcome back to Mr. Herring's fifth grade social studies class. Today we are going to go off script a little bit, kind of go backwards, and cover a lesson that it's kind of a lesson that can be put anywhere, but we need to talk about this. That's something that happened in the early 1800s during this time of this era of our unit. It's called the Trail of Tears. It's a very dark chapter in American history. I want to talk a little bit about it. I'm sure some of you may be familiar with it, but I'm going to talk about it and just kind of give you some facts about this tragic event that happened in American history's time. So let's go ahead and get started. So the Trail of Tears. What was the Trail of Tears? Well, the Trail of Tears was an event where Native Americans were forced off their land and forced to walk a great distance. The Trail of Tears was the forced removal of Native American tribes from their homelands in the 1830s. About 100,000 Native Americans were made to leave their homes and walk hundreds of miles. Many tribes were affected, including the Cherokee, the Chickasaw, the Choctaw, the Creek, and one of the largest tribes were the Seminole tribes. These tribes were known as the five civilized tribes at the time. Why did this happen? Well, this happened because settlers wanted Native American lands for farming and gold mining. President Andrew Jackson signed a bill called the Indian Removal Act in 1830, and this law forced Native Americans to move west of the Mississippi River. Many Native Americans didn't want to leave their ancestral homes. The U.S. government broke many treaties that they had made with the Native American tribes. In fact, some of the tribes went to court. They took the government to court, and the case went all the way to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court actually ruled in favor of the Native Americans that it was unconstitutional and illegal for Andrew Jackson to sign the Indian Removal Act and force the Native Americans off their land. It is said that Andrew Jackson took their ruling and told a reporter or the people around him, he said, "Great, the Supreme Court has made their ruling. Now let's see them defend it." And we all know that the Supreme Court doesn't have control of the military, and so they couldn't defend their ruling. And Andrew Jackson did what he wanted to do anyway. The difficult journey itself was extremely difficult. It was a horrible journey. Native Americans had to walk over 1,000 miles in very harsh conditions. They traveled during winter with little food or warm clothing. Many of the Native Americans got sick from diseases like pneumonia, which is a lung disease, and cholera. About 4,000 Cherokee people alone died on the journey, and they called this the Trail of Tears because of all the great suffering that took place. And these pictures here kind of show a little bit about just how awful that was. And the military were the ones that were forcing them to walk these long journeys. They would walk alongside them on horses. Some of them were pretty mean and vile, just doing their jobs. Others were very sympathetic to the Native Americans and felt really bad for them. Very tough time to be a soldier. The life in the Indian Territory. Once the Native Americans got there, most of the Native Americans were in present-day Oklahoma, Kansas. The Native Americans were moved to present-day Oklahoma. They had to build new homes and communities from scratch. Many struggled to adapt to their new environment. It wasn't like the environment they were used to in the Southeast. The climate is much, much different. The vegetation is different. Everything is different. Up in Oklahoma, it's very windy. There's a lot of tornadoes. Very, very difficult environment for them. The tribes worked hard to keep their cultures and traditions alive, and some tribes created their own governments and their own schools because they didn't want to rely on the government. They didn't trust the government. Why should they? The government had broken all their treaties. So the Trail of Tears was one of many dark times, dark events in American history. Uh, some people blame Andrew Jackson for it. It is very well known that Andrew Jackson adopted many Native American children and raised them, and he had great concerning feelings for Native Americans, but in this case, he didn't show those concerns or feelings of empathy for them. But that was a Trail of Tears. There is a video in the Schoology course about the Trail of Tears. I welcome you to please watch that. It's a great video. If you have any questions, please come and see me. Have a great day, guys.